Hi, I'm Kinsley. For as long as I can remember, my brother Mason has been the golden child in our family. I first noticed it back when we were teenagers, but it's only gotten worse with time. So, how's the new apartment? I asked Mason over coffee at our favorite downtown cafe, Brutopia. Amazing. Mom and Dad are covering the rent until I find my footing with the new job, he replied, using air quotes and smirking. They're also talking about helping me upgrade my car next month. I stirred my latte slowly, trying to keep my voice even. That's generous of them. Well, you know how they are. They just want to make sure I'm set up for success, Mason said, checking his watch. The expensive one Dad bought him for his last birthday. Right. Like when they paid for your entire college education while I worked 2 jobs and took out loans? Mason rolled his eyes. Here we go again. It's not my fault they see my potential. Your potential? Mason, you've switched careers 3 times in 4 years. I'm exploring my options, he said defensively. Besides, you've always been the responsible one. You don't need their help. That's their excuse, not a reason, I countered. Being responsible shouldn't be punished. Our friend Elliot slid into the booth beside me, immediately sensing the tension. Whoa, what did I miss? He asked, unwinding his scarf. Nothing new, I sighed. Just discussing the Bank of Mom and Dad's selective lending practices. Ah, Elliot nodded knowingly. The golden child syndrome strikes again. Mason stood up abruptly. I've got to run. Some of us have important meetings to attend. After he left, Elliot turned to me. You know, it's not just the financial stuff. Have you noticed how they always reschedule family events around his calendar, but never yours? Tell me about it, I muttered. Remember my graduation? They showed up an hour late because Mason had a hangover and couldn't get ready on time. Later that evening, my phone rang. It was my cousin Avery. Hey, Kins, got a minute? I need to talk to you about something concerning... Sure, what's up? It's about Mason. I was at your parents' house yesterday helping them with their taxes, and I saw something weird. My heart skipped. What do you mean? There were bank statements showing large transfers to Mason's account labeled as loan repayments, but I know your parents aren't in debt to him. What are you saying? I think Mason's been manipulating your parents financially. The documents I glimpsed suggested he's been creating fake financial emergencies and possibly forging documents. My hands trembled. Are you sure? Not completely, but the numbers don't add up. And I overheard him on the phone telling someone how easy it is to milk the parental cash cow by playing the struggling son. He actually said that? Word for word? Yes, and he laughed about it, Kinsley. He didn't know I was there. All these years, I'd assumed it was just favoritism. But what if it was something much worse? Kinsley? Are you still there? Yeah, I replied, my voice hardening with resolve. And I think it's time I did some investigating of my own. The next morning, I called my friend Dominique, who worked at the local bank where my parents had their accounts. I can't give you specific information, Kinsley. That would be illegal, Dominique explained carefully over lunch. I understand. I'm not asking you to break any rules, I assured her. I'm just trying to understand if what Avery told me could be possible. Dominique lowered her voice. Speaking hypothetically, if someone were to present themselves as authorized to request transfers on behalf of account holders, especially older ones, and had the right identifying information, it happens more often than you'd think. Even between family members? Especially between family members, she confirmed. It's called financial exploitation, and it's actually a form of elder abuse. But my parents aren't elderly, I protested. They don't have to be. The principle is the same, taking advantage of trust and familial relationships for financial gain. I thanked Dominique and headed straight to my parents' house, where I found my mother gardening. Kinsley, what a surprise, Mom said, removing her gardening gloves. Hi, Mom. I was hoping we could talk about something important. Inside, I tried a direct approach. Mom, I'm concerned about the financial help you're giving Mason. Her expression hardened immediately. Not this again. Your brother. Needs more support than I do. I know. But are you sure he's being honest about what he needs the money for? What are you implying? I'm asking if you verified his financial emergencies. The rent increases, the car repairs, the work expenses. Dad walked in, catching the tail end of my question. Your brother wouldn't lie to us about something like that. How do you know? I challenged. When was the last time you asked for documentation or proof? We trust our son, Dad stated firmly. Even when he's draining your retirement fund? Mom gasped. That's an awful accusation. Is it? Because Cousin Avery saw some concerning bank statements while helping you with taxes. Their expressions changed subtly, a flicker of doubt crossing both their faces. Look, I said, softening my tone. I'm not trying to cause problems, but I'm worried Mason is taking advantage of you. That's enough, Dad interrupted. Mason has always had challenges that you didn't. Like what? Being responsible? Working hard? You don't understand his struggles, Mom defended. Then help me understand. Show me the proof of these emergencies he's had. Dad's face reddened. We don't need to prove anything to you. Actually, came a new voice from the doorway. Maybe you should. We all turned to see Uncle Frank, my father's brother, standing there with a folder in his hand. Frank, this is a family matter, Dad began. Which is exactly why I'm here, Uncle Frank replied. I've been helping Mason with his taxes for years. When Avery mentioned her concerns, I did some digging. He placed the folder on the table. These are records of Mason's actual expenses versus what he's told you he needed. The numbers don't match up, Robert. Not even close. Dad reluctantly opened the folder, Mom peering over his shoulder. Their faces fell in unison. There has to be a mistake, Mom whispered. There is, I said quietly. And his name is Mason. I decided to confront Mason at his apartment, the one our parents were paying for. Uncle Frank and Elliot came with me for support and as witnesses. When Mason opened the door, his smug smile vanished at the sight of us. Family intervention, he joked weakly. We need to talk, I said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. His apartment was impeccably furnished with expensive items that went far beyond what even our parents' generosity could explain. Nice place, Uncle Frank commented, eyeing a high-end sound system. Must have cost a fortune. Mason shifted uncomfortably. What is this about? I pulled out copies of the documents Uncle Frank had compiled. It's about this, Mason. Financial records showing you've been systematically lying to Mom and Dad about your expenses. That's ridiculous, he scoffed, but his eyes darted nervously to the papers. Is it? You told them your rent was $2,400 when it's actually $1,600. You claimed $8,000 in car repairs for a vehicle that was only in the shop for a minor tune-up. You're going through my personal finances now? That's an invasion of privacy? Mason's voice rose. Elliot stepped forward. It's not private when you're using other people's money under false pretenses. You have no idea what you're talking about, Mason snapped, attempting to grab the documents from my hand. I pulled them back. Mom and Dad have seen these, Mason. They know. His face paled. They know what exactly? That you've been manipulating them for years, creating fake emergencies, inflating expenses, possibly even forging documents. That's absurd. I've had legitimate needs. Like the 3 vacations you took last year that they thought were work trips? Uncle Frank interjected. Or the gambling debts you covered with their loan repayments? Mason's expression darkened. You have no right to judge me. They wanted to help me. Help you, yes. Be defrauded by you? I don't think so, I replied steadily. Look, Mason said, his tone suddenly conciliatory. Maybe I exaggerated some expenses. But they wanted to give me that money. They've always favored me. We all know that. That doesn't make it right to exploit them. I'm sorry, okay? I got carried away, but they can afford it. And I'll pay them back eventually. I shook my head. It's too late for apologies, Mason. This isn't about favoritism anymore. It's about fraud. You're just jealous, he snarled, his facade cracking. You've always resented me for being their favorite. No, Mason. I resented the unfairness, but I never wanted to hurt them. You did that all on your own. What do you want from me? Money? Is that it? I want justice, I stated clearly. For them. And yes, for me too. His face contorted with rage. Get out of my apartment. Your apartment? Uncle Frank laughed humorlessly. The lease agreement is in your parents' names. They're the ones paying for it, remember? Mason lunged forward suddenly, grabbing my arm hard enough to leave marks. You've always wanted to ruin things for me. Elliot immediately stepped between us. That's enough. Touch her again, and we'll add assault to the list. Mason's eyes widened with realization. List? What list? What are you planning? We're not planning anything, I said calmly, rubbing my arm. It's already done. Mom and Dad are meeting with their lawyer right now, and you just added assault to your problems. 3 weeks later, I sat across from my parents in their living room. The atmosphere was heavy with a mixture of grief and relief. The restraining order was approved, Dad informed me, his voice tired. Based on his behavior at the apartment and the threatening messages he sent afterward. And the financial recovery? I asked. Mom sighed. The lawyer says we have a strong case for financial restitution. The evidence is clear. I still can't believe it came to this, Dad said, shaking his head. I know it's hard, I acknowledged. He's still your son. We enabled him, Mom admitted. For years, we made excuses for his behavior, his choices. We thought we were helping, Dad added. Instead, we were making him dependent and entitled. The doorbell rang. It was Elliot with lunch for all of us. As we ate, the conversation continued. Have you heard from him? Elliot asked cautiously. He called yesterday, Dad replied. Wanted to apologize, said he'd change. I tensed. And? We told him actions have consequences, Mom said firmly. That we love him, but we can't trust him right now. The therapist says we need to maintain boundaries, Dad explained, for his sake as much as ours. I'm proud of you both, I said sincerely. Later that afternoon, as we were cleaning up, my phone buzzed with a text from Mason. Can we talk? I really am sorry. I miss my family. I showed it to my parents. What will you say? Mom asked. The truth, I replied, typing my response. No, sorry isn't enough. You had years to make different choices. A few minutes later, another text arrived. They'll forgive me eventually. They always do. But you and I should work things out. I felt a familiar anger rising, but it was different now. Steadier, more resolved. He still doesn't get it, does he? Elliot observed, reading over my shoulder. No, he doesn't, I agreed, sending my final message. There's nothing to work out. You crossed lines that can't be uncrossed. Focus on making restitution, not on getting forgiveness. I blocked his number afterward. 2 days later, Uncle Frank called with news. Mason's been served with the civil suit papers, and his company has placed him on leave pending an investigation into whether he used similar tactics there. How are you feeling about all this? Avery asked me when she visited the following weekend. Relieved, mostly, I admitted. For years, I thought I was the problem, that there was something wrong with me for not earning their support. And now? Now I know it wasn't about me at all. It was about his manipulation and their willingness to believe it. My parents have started therapy, both individually and as a couple. They've also begun talking more openly about their finances with me. Not because they need to, but because they want to rebuild trust and transparency in our family. As for Mason, he's facing the consequences of his actions. The apartment is gone, the financial support cut off, and legal proceedings underway. Sometimes I wonder if he'll ever truly understand what he did wrong. Do you think you'll ever reconcile with him? Elliot asked me over coffee back at Brutopia where this all began. Honestly, no, I replied without hesitation. Some bridges stay burned, but I'm at peace with that. What about forgiveness? I considered this carefully. I can forgive him for my own peace, but I can't forget or trust him again. And that's okay. Looking around at the people who had supported me through this, Elliot, Avery, Uncle Frank, and now, finally, my parents. I realized something important. Family isn't just about blood. It's about honesty, respect, and real love, not the conditional kind Mason had exploited for so long. So, what's next for you? Avery asked. I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. Living my life on my own terms? No more comparing myself to the golden child's false shine? Have you ever had to stand up to family manipulation? How did you handle it? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about family dynamics and personal growth.